You know who we know is good, Aaron Murray, are good, are the Georgia Bulldogs and the Alabama Crimson Tide. The question of who is better is what seems to be where kind of the issue comes in as for the second time this year, we have seen them flip in the polls, right? At first, it was Bama at 1, UGA 2. Well, after some impressive wins and not so impressive, Bama was losing to Texas. UJ dominates Oregon. Okay, let's flip him. Georgia, definitely better teams. Stequavius, all the hype. Well, now it looks like the shoe is on the other foot after Georgia struggles in coma, barely escaping with a win. And Alabama, despite losing its Heisman defending champion quarterback, beats a ranked Arkansas team badly on the road. Aaron Murray, what is the truth of the matter as it stands here on October 3rd, Monday?
And I apologize for our first-time listener that's a Georgia fan. Don't get mad at me. I still am picking Georgia to beat Auburn this weekend, so don't go crazy. Let's be honest. Georgia's looked like crap the past 3 weeks. There's no excuse. What they looked like versus Kent State last week, how they played versus Missouri, and honestly, I had Missouri heading into the weekend. I still think they're there as possibly the worst team in the SEC. It's kind of them, Vanderbilt, and Auburn, and you can't go. I don't care. It's on the road, whatever. You can't go on the road like that and play like crap for a second straight week. Once again, alluding to Kent State the week before at home. If I'm ranking kind of my 1 through 3, because it is still 1 through 3. It's Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State, and you can mix them up however you want. But when I did my rankings yesterday, I did Ohio State 1, Alabama 2, and Georgia 3. I still think Ohio State right now with the offense, with how well the defense is performing early on the season. I know they really haven't been challenged too much, but that's a damn good football team that really hasn't shown us any sort of weakness. Alabama's shown some weakness at times. Offensively, I think they're getting better. I think the receivers are catching on. Gibbs had a hell of a performance for Arkansas. And then Georgia's showing some weakness right now too. They can't run the football. It's an offense that is yet to find an elite running back that can run between the tackles. Like, I love Kenny I love Kenny catching the ball in the backfield. I think he's great in that aspect. I was super excited. Like, hey, we found our new James Cook this year, but they can't run the football. And if you're going to be one-dimensional in big-time games this year, that could be troublesome. And we saw it this weekend against Missouri. So, I think the one thing that you can say about Georgia right now is they're missing 2 of their better players. Jalen Carter has been out for 2 weeks. Didn't play last week, came in this week at the chop block. Now looks like he's going to be out 1 to 2 weeks. A.D. Mitchell on offense has been banged up. He is yet to play much this season. So you get both of them back in the rotation. I'm going to feel a little bit better about them. But right now, I definitely move Alabama ahead. They're playing better football. And I kind of look at the AP poll as a week-by-week thing. And right now, Alabama's playing better, and Georgia just does not look like the number 1 team in the country.
And the AP poll should be a week-by-week thing, right? We talked about this constantly in our Man vs. Machine segment last week. Like, the AP poll is reactive. It rewards results. And as you said, since that Texas-Oregon moment that started the year, all the evidence has been a Bama team that has been steadily improving, while it's been a Georgia team that's kind of been creating more and more questions about itself. And here's my question, Aaron. And I mean, really, look, we get to the Bama game in a little bit. Unfortunately, I didn't get to watch the Georgia game. It's kind of at the corner of my eye because LSU Auburn was going at the time, and I was trying not to have a heart attack the entire time as I watched Robbie Ashford throw all over LSU. I offered a same game parlay with Ashford's under passing total, under 150. That parlay evaporated faster than anything you've ever seen in your life. Ashford killed it in the first quarter, dude. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. The point is, on Georgia, I have a question for you, Aaron Murray. And this is something that I was worried about. It just felt like he proved me wrong. Has Stequavius gone full F-boy? And I don't know if you're aware of this, right? But there's a reality show on HBO Max now called F-Boy Island. And the whole idea of the show, it's like a dating show, bunch of girls, bunch of guys, or a few girls, bunch of guys. And half the guys are nice guys, and half the guys are F-boys who are there to just take the money and run at the end of the competition. Stequavius obviously used to be a nice guy, but now tight high fade, gold chain, Biggie t-shirts. It's painfully obvious his aesthetic is trending towards F-boy, but he was still nice. The question is he a bit lost in the sauce right now, Aaron Murray?
No. I just wonder if he's banged up, honestly. The one thing that I'd love to see from Stetson for the past 2 years is he just lets it rip. Like, he goes in there, that chip on his shoulder. Hey man, I'm out to kind of prove everyone wrong, and just letting it wing. And at times last year, I got him in trouble. And I know he said that this offseason, he went back and reevaluated himself and saw a lot of opportunities where he put the ball in harm's way and was going to be a better quarterback and not kind of do that to the offense. And you've seen that, we've seen that progression through the season. But when I was watching the Missouri game, it looked like he was just trying to place the ball. He was trying to essentially throw like a dart instead of just letting that bitch rip. Like, just let it go, man. Like, you do have I would say above average arm strength. You got good receivers. You got amazing tight ends. Like, just rip it. And the amount of times I saw balls overthrown, and a lot of times when balls are overthrown, it's because the elbow drops. You try to guide it in there, and when it drops, ball sails. And when you throw with confidence, elbows up, and you just put a dart right on the body, right on the body. And I just was not seeing that in that game. So once again, I don't know if it was, maybe Missouri was throwing some stuff that he wasn't prepared for. So he was kind of, not super comfortable. If he's banged up and just didn't feel himself, I don't know. But Stequavius was probably the worst I've seen him play since, he played, I would say, 1 or 2 bad games last year. A lot of it had to do with, I would say, still not great talent around him at the receiving position. But I think this may have been the worst I've seen Stet play in the past 2 years. So he's a hard worker. I think there's a ton of talent there. I'll just chalk it up to he just wasn't feeling it there versus Missouri on the road. But once they get AD back and get this offense going, it's still, I think, the offense that we saw early on the season. I think they're capable of putting up those kind of numbers.
It's like he almost changed from Urkel to sexy Urkel, and now he's kind of flirting with going back to Urkel. We'll see. On the Alabama side of this equation, so that's maybe why George has been struggling. Alabama looked damn strong the other day. Now, let's be clear, right? In a battle of weakness on weakness, Alabama's weapon weakness is much less of a weakness than is Arkansas's awful secondary, right? And that was proven. I mean, the angle that is it Slusher, the angle that Slusher took on that, maybe the first or second touchdown, is one of the most god-awful defensive plays I think I may have ever seen in my entire life, with Prentice scoring the touchdown. And so I do think that this was a nice matchup from Alabama in terms of stylistic fight. That said, losing Bryce Young, having Arkansas rattle off 23 in a row in that building when it's going crazy, and then to face down 3rd and 15 in that moment, and for Milroe to go 75 for a score, not only is it just unreal impressive for Milroe individually to make that play in that moment when you had to have it, but that is a statement from this Alabama team. Not many teams could lose their Heisman winning quarterback, have a team rattle off 23 in a row, and then win the game 49-26. So make no mistake, Alabama's offensive line is getting better. Jahmyr Gibbs is, like you said, getting better and really starting to pop now. And especially if there's an injury to Bryce Young, which I don't think is that serious, Saban said. But if there were, obviously, you'd start to lean on him more and more. But here's my bottom line with Alabama. And this is still where Georgia, maybe Ohio State and others are interesting, is that if you cannot hang with Bama's weapons, you will not beat Bryce Young. Like, you're just not going to. He's too good at making decisions. He's too good at getting the ball exactly where he needs to be. Like, he makes the right choices, and he knows where to put it when he makes those choices. So it's going to take maybe, which admittedly, I don't know if this has been the dog's strong suit, but it takes a secondary or a pass rush that can either win the one-on-one battles against these receivers or get after the quarterback consistently. Otherwise, Bryce Young's just going to kill you. He's perfect.
No, he's amazing, man. He won the Heisman last year for a reason. He's the best player in the country and was last year. And I still like C.J. Stroud there at Ohio State as a quarterback, but what Bryce does with the ball in his hands and the quick release, the athleticism outside the pocket, and you are seeing the maturity of these receivers. They're getting better. Kobe Prentice, kind of jumped off the film to me starting week 1. Burns getting better, Holden's getting better. Gibbs, we knew was great out of the backfield. Now they got him going running the football. They have benefited. So I don't want to completely say that, hey, this is the Alabama offense that we're used to seeing for the past 5 years, because you face two of the worst defensive backfields in all of America. Not just the SEC, but in all of America. Vanderbilt, trash. Just complete trash. We've talked about the numbers for Arkansas. Trash. Those dudes are running wide open. No one near them. Guys tripping over themselves, taking bad angles.
It's so bad.
It's been a good 2 weeks to build confidence. And now can Alabama, without Bryce possibly for a week, take what they're doing on offense and continue to move in the right direction? I talked about the whole AC sprain on Saturday night. We had the late night show. Peter Burns came and joined us, the one of the pretty faces there on SEC Network. So if you missed that, make sure you go check it out. We had a great time. But, unless it's a grade 3, and hopefully it's not, you put a shot in that thing and he should be ready to go in a week or two. So, you got to protect him. He may be a little bit smarter in and outside the pocket, but right now this offense is improving. We know how good the defense is. And I think a lot of people look at that as, hey, this is why Alabama deserves to be the number 1 team in the country based on the AP poll right now.
I was like, who does Alabama have this weekend? And then I forgot this is Texas A&M CBS night game. Oh my God. And the funny part is, coming into the year, if you would have said
David John with back-to-back wins versus Alabama.
Probably, yes, actually, completely honestly. Even though it is funny, Paul Feinbaum saying this morning that the A&M boosters are willing to pay Jimbo's buyout if things keep going bad. I mean, never forget, he is objectively worse than Kevin Sumlin right now by a couple of games now. And it just looks like a team that is continuing to get worse, which is funny because, if you would have said at the beginning of the year that going to this A&M game, there would be no Bryce Young, all of a sudden oh, okay, A&M. But when I tell you that A&M feels as dead in the water as you as feckless and threatless as you possibly could going into Saturday, A&M got shithoused by Mississippi State. It was embarrassing. All right, before we get to our next topic,
I want to comment real quick, T-Bob.
Yeah. What you got?
Yeah, Kirby Visor in the chat made a good point, which I've been feeling too. Georgia doesn't have a pass rush, and I alluded to getting Jalen Carter back on offense or on defense. Without Jalen, how are they? They're not generating any sort of rush. It's either you have to bring pressure with bringing a 5th or 6th guy, but for Georgia, last year they lined up and just rush 4, and constantly getting after the quarterback. And obviously, you had the number 1 pick in the draft, you had other first-round picks. I get it, but that's been the biggest drop off defensively. They cannot line up with just a 4-man rush and put pressure on the quarterback, especially without Jalen in the lineup. So, it doesn't look like they'll get him back for a few more weeks. That's going to be an issue. Luckily, the schedule is not too bad. I believe with Auburn this weekend and Vanderbilt, I believe after that, both home games. But I think down the line, that's going to be a big problem if you cannot just rush 4, especially a game like let's just, for example, Tennessee. Tennessee, you need to drop guys back in coverage. You need to be able to have 5 guys, 6 guys back to cover those receivers, and obviously Hendon. If you can't put any pressure with a 4-man rush, Hendon Hooker is going to light your ass up. So they better figure out a way these next 4 weeks to get that part of their game going.